teams in this one. However, as far as the winner of the game, I think it's somewhat of a coin toss. Arizona being slightly better and being at home, I pick them to win the game, but wouldn't surprise me at all if St. Louis walks out of this one with a win. Then we've got the Dallas Cowboys with Brandon Weeden at quarterback, without Tony Romo, without Des Bryant, on the road, taking on the winless New Orleans Saints, who look to hopefully have Drew Brees back playing again, starting for their quarterback position this week, because they had Luke McCown last week, and that didn't work out so well for him, although Luke McCown didn't do too terrible, to be fair to Mr. DirecTV commercial guy. That being said, the New Orleans Saints are a 4.5-point favorite. The winless New Orleans Saints, 0-3, are a 4.5-point favorite at home to take on the 2-1 Dallas Cowboys. If you're playing the spread, Dallas Cowboys are by far the smart pick here. Just a straight-up pick-em winner and loser. If it's Brees versus Romo, I'm taking the Cowboys. But Brees versus Brandon Weeden, I think then maybe the Saints get their first win of the season. So, again, picking the Cowboys to cover that spread, possibly win the game. But in a straight pick-em, I'm picking the Saints to get their first win of the year at home. And then finally, in your Monday night game, we have the winless Detroit Lions heading out west to the great Pacific Northwest to take on the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks are a 9.5-point favorite to win this game. I do believe that the Seattle Seahawks will win this game and cover the spread. Mind you that Marshawn Lynch is able to go come Monday night, as he is currently questionable with health concerns. Detroit Lions fairly healthy for the most part. However, their interesting tidbit that came out from last week to this week was wide receiver Golden Tate basically throwing the coaching staff under the buses, saying that they believe the other teams have an easier time stopping their offense because they know what plays are coming, and basically that the coaches are not doing a good job of play calling and game planning, and that's why they haven't won. He may be right. That's not to say that he should be saying those things in the forum and manner that he is saying them, but he may be right. But anyway, that is your complete pick'ems for week 4 here, both versus the spread and straight up wins and losses, however you like to play, whatever you're into. My eliminator locks for this week. My advice if you're in a Survivor League, an eliminator league this week, even though I've got a bad feeling about it, on paper the Falcons at home are really smart. The Bills at home on paper are really smart, although I've got a bad feeling about that one as well. The Bengals at home are fairly smart, although I'm not 100% solid on that. The Colts at home are fairly solid. The San Diego Chargers actually are my pick at home against the Browns. I think the Chargers are a great Survivor Eliminator lock pick this week. I would avoid the Vikings-Broncos game. Packers, another great one. I mean, they're a great lock any week, and they're taking on the 49ers, who stink. So that's a great lock pick as well. Or Seattle hosting the Detroit Lions, also a great lock eliminator pick for this week. So there is, your NFL recap, your NFL preview, your picks and predictions, your news, your injuries, lots of injuries going through, if you happen to notice that. And I didn't even touch on remotely close to half of the injuries, just the ones that I think are most significant and I recall the easiest as I'm going through all this stuff. So there's plenty more out there yet. And then trades. Like I said, we had the Bears trade John Bostic and Jared Allen, 2 players on their defense, away for future draft picks. So all kinds of NFL news in there. We gave you some fantasy sleepers to keep an eye on as well. Oh, also tidbit in this week's upcoming Jets versus Miami game. I forgot to mention this when we talked on that one, and I picked the Miami Dolphins to win. That game is being played over the pond in London. Yes, bloody good, jolly good showing. What? Yeah. That's all I got. I don't know. I ran out of British cliche words. Cheerio, jolly good. Did I do jolly good already? I don't know. Chip chip. Come on now. But anyway, so yeah, that's your entire league-wide coverage, and it only took us, 45 minutes to an hour to accomplish that. And we're not even done with NFL football yet. You are going to get my take on the Vikings yet here, but we'll keep it fairly short. Then we'll move on to Major League Baseball, college football, and all the other quickies we got. As well as UFC 192. Thank you so very much for listening to this first hour of the show. I am Scotty Ball, and you're listening to Balls Deep Sports Talk on WNLMradio.com. Also brought to you 24/7 on demand on the free Spreaker app, the free TuneIn app, SoundCloud, and YouTube. All right, now getting to my possibly your Minnesota Vikings. Skull! Anyway, Vikings coming off another impressive win this week. So that makes 2 impressive wins in a row following a horrendously embarrassing loss to open the season. So all in all, fairly good. Happy with 2-1 coming up for the Vikings. And the question is now, will we be 3-1 after this week, or will we enter our bye week a 500 2-2 ball club? Either of which is acceptable and very realistic playoff bound position to find yourself in at that moment in the season. So yes, I am slurping some Homer made purple Kool-Aid as I tend to. However, me being an elite football mind, as Paul Allen would say, voice of the Vikings, K-Fan Radio, play-by-play, extraordinaire, silver god. Yes, I am an elite football mind, as he would say. And so, being an elite football mind, I call it the way I see it. If the Vikings genuinely stink, or there are things I'm seeing that are going to cost us or are unacceptable and inexcusable, not inexplicable, but sometimes inexplicable, I call it out. I'm not going to cherry coat anything and be, oh no, it's going to be okay, he's not that bad, it'll get better. I'm not one of those guys. If that's not how I see it, sometimes I will respond that way, but that's when I genuinely see that, okay, this is what's wrong and this is what's not wrong and this is what can be corrected, and here's the logical correlation between source, cause and effect, source and outcome, things of that nature. But like I said, coming off of back-to-back really good performances, there really isn't a whole lot of negative to critique. So I'm going to keep my Vikings recap and preview fairly short here this week. But no one will be left out, mind you. Keep that in mind. So, as far as last week's performance against the San Diego Chargers go, let's just go through everybody real quick. The offensive line again played very, very well, especially in the run blocking game. We had yet another 100-plus yard game from Adrian Peterson, as well as multiple touchdowns for Adrian Peterson. So he has been rolling 2 weeks in a row. Yes, a large part of that is him and his abilities, but a large part of that is the offensive line playing well as a unit in the run blocking scheme. Mike Harris at right guard is run blocking very well. TJ Clemmings at right tackle is run blocking well. Fusco transitioning at left guard is handling it fairly well. And Berger at center is playing very well. He is, to me, the most underappreciated Vikings offensive player up to this point in the season. In those wins in the second and third game, he played great. Fusco did not always play great. Clemmings and Harris did not always play great. Berger played great overall. They're almost never making an error Almost never was the A-gap penetration or anything like that his fault. It was one of the guards, not reading the play and the blocking scheme correctly. But so overall, offensive line playing extremely well. Glad that Fusco's concussion did not keep him out of the game last week. That would have been huge, I felt, for us. But alas, he was able to play. He was cleared, so hopefully that stays good. And I really feel that, so long as we avoid getting ourselves into pass situations all the time, where the defense can just pin their ears back and pass rush, and our linemen are on their heels the whole game like we just chose to do week 1 against the 49ers, I think our offensive line is going to continue to play well. The pressures, and like I said, and of course the backfield is playing exceptionally well. Adrian Peterson's back, and he's great. The quarterback, however, has had 3 unacceptable grades in a row. The best game he's had this year was that Week 2 game against Detroit. And if you remember and watched that game, you should be thinking to yourself, he didn't have that great of a game. He had a decent game, he had a good game, he had an okay game, but he didn't by any means have a great game. That was by far his best game so far this season. Week 1 was terrible, and I personally felt that this last week's game, where he only threw for just over 100 yards and a pick, I felt that was even worse than his Week 1 performance. Week 1, at least, he was under pressure, and there was just a lot more reasonable explanation for the lack of success and production in Week 1. This week, we were winning the game, not playing against a stout defense. Matchups are fairly good across the board. Watching the film, he's dropping back, and he's chucking the ball into double and triple coverage down the field for no reason. It's 2nd and 10, for example. He drops back to pass. He's got a guy wide open, uncovered down the middle of the field, sitting at the first down marker, just wide open, nobody around him. Doesn't even look at the guy or consider throwing to him. He chucks the ball downfield into double coverage. The one that Rudolph dropped to start in the first quarter. That ball shouldn't have even been thrown. That was a horrible decision, thrown into triple coverage where it was underthrown, and it could have easily been picked off had the defenders, had their heads turned around and been playing the ball. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater has looked terrible. I'm not saying that Teddy Bridgewater is terrible. I have a lot of faith, confidence in Teddy Bridgewater. I think he can be, and will be a good quarterback in the NFL. However, there are several basic quarterback 101 football things that he is doing really poorly consistently right now. First in the progression of the play being when after he completes his drop back. Watch him after he completes his drop back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say it's a 5-step drop. He goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plants, boom, and that is it. His feet stay glued to that spot. Now, when you watch the greats, like a Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady or a Drew Brees, guys who aren't even all that mobile and stuff, they hardly ever get sacked. And pressure doesn't affect their ability to complete passes and move the ball down the field because they can see it and they can feel it and they slide. They hop up just a step or two. They hop back a step or two. They hop over a step or two. They don't just go, okay, this is my one spot and I stand here and I throw the ball from here. Teddy does that. Watch him. He freezes on that one spot, or if he moves, he's looking to run, plain and simple. He doesn't just shift in the pocket at all. He's very, very poor at that. And that's a simple, easy thing to do and correct. So I'm frustrated when I see that. But hopefully it gets identified and fixed. Because I know that Norv and Mike and, some of the other guys in the locker room, but the coaching staff, especially in the front office, they listen to Balls Deep Sports Talk every week. So, pretty confident that word will get passed to Teddy. But that's the first step in the play where he's consistently in error, okay? then the next step is just reading the freaking defense. My God, someone needs to explain this guy that